Hello and welcome to Expat View, where we're all about knowing and growing expat women. I'm Renee Letterman.
And I'm Marie Bryce, and we're joining you from our living room in Houston to yours.
Today we're going to be talking about how expats can eat healthily in different countries. And we have Miriam Bell joining us. Welcome, Miriam.
Hello.
She's a food and nutritional coach here in Houston.
Hello.
Miriam, when I travel to different countries, and I have one country in particular that I'm thinking about, and that's Cuba. When my family and I traveled to Cuba, I really wasn't sure what foods were healthy, which foods would make me sick, or should I eat the processed foods because they had a lot of processed foods. I just wasn't sure. So can you talk to us about what to look for and how to eat healthy in a foreign country?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk more about the dinner meal first of all and the lunch meal, because that's usually where you're eating out a little bit more. I think it's important for us to continue to look on our plate to have what is our protein, what is going to be our grain, and what are going to be our vegetables. And to eat as similarly to what we're accustomed to from coming from America to a foreign country. So again, it's easier now because we can actually use the internet to find ahead what's going to be and where we're going to be, or the hotel where we're staying at if we are in a hotel to start with. And not to eat too differently. The first week or two that you're eating in a new country, you really want to stay with what you're most accustomed to, not going so much to eat the food of the country, because we know that you can get a steak or a chicken or a pork or a piece of fish. We know in Cuba, in most countries, you're going to have a rice dish. Not what we usually get in America, actually, but you're going to have your rice dish.
Okay.
And then you're going to look for some vegetables, and preferably vegetables that are going to be cooked. That is critical because every country's water is so critical, and we get more sick from the water than we get from the food itself. So if heat can get to the food, we are more apt to stay well in the first few days, and eating more simply in the first month or two wherever you're starting out.
Wow, that's valuable information, because I know when I travel to a foreign country, the water is always something that I've been told, always, is to be very cautious about drinking water. So
Right.
what I usually do is I'll drink soda, a canned soda, something like that, because I just want to make sure that I don't catch a bug or something. So thank you, that was very, very helpful.
Right, and if you can get the bottled water there, that would be good too. And buy bottled water and carry it with you if you're able to, once you arrive, so that you're getting hydrated, because the sodas are actually going to dehydrate you.
Right.
Which we know. But again, if you can carry the water with you, or even cook with better water, that would be helpful.
Okay. What about mistakes? What are some food mistakes that expats make when they travel to a different country?
Well, I think one of the things is eating too many white flour or low processed foods, because you had mentioned the processed foods. And I think that it's our natural response because we're stressed. And we may be moving in there or checking out the area that we want to buy very inexpensive foods, open up a package and eat it. And because we're afraid of the fruits or the vegetables, okay? But we can take, if they have fruit, fresh fruit, we can certainly wash it off with our bottled water. But again, making sure that you're planning ahead and not leaving it up to the fact, well, I didn't unpack, or I'm traveling, checking out the area. You really want to immediately, just as if you were taking care of a child, go and get the foods you need and have them, a bag that you're carrying around with you, so that you're getting better quality foods and not just eating sugar, 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 which actually lowers your immune system, makes you weak. I'll use the word constipated for some people, because it does. It changes the way that our whole system works. And if we're not feeling up to par, we can't get the job done that we want to do, and we don't feel happy.
So if I'm in Egypt and I'm walking down the street and I see all of this wonderful fruit, it looks so inviting, which that actually happened.
Yes, it does.
So are you saying that I should not buy this fruit and eat it? And,
No.
and use the water in Egypt, or exactly what are you saying?
I'm really saying that if you can, I mean, I know we're talking a lot about water here, but you've got your water with you, buy the fruit off the street if it's the fresh fruit. rinse it off with your water, take your napkin or Kleenex, wipe it down, and eat the fruit.
Oh.
Don't eat around the core, right where the fruit came from the tree, just like in strawberries we know now have a little mites that are around them. Don't eat the place where it's attached to the tree, because that's where the bugs like to hide. And just eat around it and leave that part.
Okay, and the mistakes you said, again, going back to that, mistakes that expats make is to not, you're saying to not eat the flour, the sugar,
I think what it is,
processed foods.
I think what it is more, it's the planning stages.
The planning.
Because they say, okay, well here I am, I'm either at the hotel or at someone's home or getting ready to move to my own home, and they haven't thought in advance what I'm going to eat for breakfast, what I'm going to have for a snack. And I think that the first thing we need to do, besides going and get your toiletry items, is going to get some items for several days that you can call your food.
Got it.
And that you're eating.
That's something that I know I have a lot of problems with too, Marion, and we talked about this before, was a lot of people have allergies.
Yes.
Personally, I have, I have sensitivity to wheat products anyway, and so having that preparing and planning is so important. So, what other things can we do when we have these kind of food allergies when we're moving to countries that may not have the kind of foods we're used to?
Right. Well, one of the things we can do is check in advance to see certainly know where we're going. For instance, in many countries they have yogurt. So yogurt is really good for the flora of the body. So if you can get a good quality yogurt, you're helping yourself out. Again, finding right away, if you're going to be eating grains and noodles, because that's the sensitivity more people have, what you're able to get. So if it's a country that serves white rice, looking to see if they have brown rice. If not, use potatoes or yams or squashes to fill you up, or good quality breads. Because we're thinking, oh, well, especially in a certain age group, breads are not good for us. But it would be better to have a whole grain bread. So each country is going to be a little bit different based on their ethnic food that they're eating. But applying that, if it's an American going overseas, looking to see what would be similar, like most Americans eat potatoes. Most Americans do still eat rice. So looking for foods that are similar to what we're having. Because, again, if you're going to India and you're not used to spicy food, and you go
That's my next question.
Right, and you're going to have spicy food, and you already know you're an American who happens to have a tongue that doesn't do spicy at all. You're going to Mexico, you don't do hot peppers. You're having to start to look for the foods that will really work for you.
Yeah.
You can always add those condiments. So again, if you don't speak the language and you're afraid that you're going to be in a restaurant where you need a cheat card, a card that you can hand to the waiter saying, I have allergies to wheat products, or I have allergies to dairy products. So please don't make my food with dairy, even butter, and explaining what butter is.
That's a great idea.
I have friends that go to Japan. They're vegetarians. They had a little card that says, please do not let me have food that's swimming in oil, because the soups in the morning are swimming in oil, and I don't eat meat. Tofu would be my choice, or beans.
Right.
And they handed that card to the waiter.
And it's interesting you talked about the fresh foods before. I mean, I know I made this mistake in many countries, was trying to eat healthily and eat salads.
Right.
And eat things that are like fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. And so it's really difficult to try and get the fruit and the vegetables clean to start with.
Right.
And in some countries people said, wash them in iodine, wash them in this, wash them in that, wash them in chlorine. And you're like, what do I do?
Right. Well, what I suggest is there's several ways we can wash the fruits and vegetables when we first come to a new country. Salt is one. Making a bath in your sink, salt water, vinegar, white vinegar water, a little bit of bleach, the tiniest bit. People get very freaked out when I say that, but we're talking about 1 teaspoon of bleach or vinegar or salt in a big bath of water. Soak like you're actually doing the laundry, change sinks, and then rinse again, okay? Because the water could be contaminated, but we're looking to get off the fecal matter from the produce.
Right.
And again, eating cooked produce, really critical till you get to know. So maybe if you're a salad person, you might take a green supplement with you that gives you that chlorophyll that the green food has that makes you feel good, rather than starting out eating the salads.
Because some of the they get quite a bad rap, I think, sometimes, don't they? Like not eating the correct kinds of foods. So I'm thinking about use-by dates here now. Like in some countries I've been in, they say, yes, ma'am, we have these wonderful foods, and you go and they're like, all the use-by dates are like 1, 2, 3, 4 months overdue. You're trying to keep simple. You don't want to go to maybe the fresh stuff.
That's right. If you can get things that are smoked in some countries, that's going to extend the life. Okay, so if you get a fish that is a smoked fish, the fresh things, we're talking more about animal products. You can see if it's changed colors. We know, hopefully, what a piece of meat looks like, what a piece of fresh fish looks like. If it has a white residue on it, even through the wrapping, you're going to know that that's not fresh. You can even smell it through the packaging. Things that have expiration dates, the next thing would be dairy products. Really, in all true reality, dairy can be without very much refrigeration. That's how it's created in its far. So we don't have to be so mindful. It's really the fish and the meat that you have to worry so much about. And I invite people to have more beans, because beans is a good way to transition into a new product. And almost every ethnic persona, except in the United States, beans are the food of choice.
So true.
For protein.
So true.
Yes, we're used to so much animal products in America. It's the opposite for people that are coming here. They're like, whoop-de-doo, yes, we have meat, more meat than they would have in their normal country.
Excellent.
Yes.
It's amazing. I remember the very first experience I ever had with having poultry overseas was asking my husband to bring home some chicken.
Oh yes, chicken with the head on it, right?
No, it was dead, but it
And
was
the feathers.
very warm.
Yes,
It was
very
still
warm.
very warm and almost had a beating heart.
Right,
So
correct.
amazing.
Yes.
So I think from what you've told us, Marion, the most important thing is that we have to plan ahead. We have to take things with us. We have to research a lot of the time and look forward and try and understand and keep it simple, keep it straightforward for a while before introducing new food. Sounds like the plan.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, I agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We've loved your wonderful tips and strategies that we can spread across many different countries, hopefully. If you would like to find out more about Marion and her all the wonderful information she has on nutritional wellness and on coaching around this area, you can have a look on our website on www.theexpatview.com. And we're actually going to try and twist Marion's arm to come back next week and tell us about how to be healthy and to have really good nutritional plans and planning with our children as we move with them overseas.
And we'd also like to invite you to visit our webpage, our Facebook page, and tell us about your experiences with foods in different countries. We'd like to thank you again for joining us from our living room in Houston to yours.